After the divorce, the wife I married was my ex-wife's best friend. After his wife's death, he suffered from severe depression, tormenting himself for 10 whole years. He leaped from the rooftop, only to be reborn on the day of his wife's car accident, when he finally discovered that she had died in the crash because she was cheating on him. A severely depressed man then embarked on the most insane revenge. Let everything be destroyed. I'm exhausted. If I'm going to die, then everyone else should die with me. Chapter 1. Doctor, I have severe depression. Can you take a look at me? Young man, relax. Keeping a cheerful mood is the most important thing. Here, we have the funniest clown in the world. He can definitely cure your illness. Doctor, I am that clown. Late at night, in Jiangning, on the rooftop. Li Yuan, dressed in his funniest clown outfit, carefully arranged 1,314 photos of his wife on the ground, forming her face. He then gently lay down next to her image, picked up a bottle of alcohol, and drunkenly hummed to himself. With a snap. Li Yuan finished the alcohol, shakily stood up, lit a cigarette with a match, exhaled a puff of smoke, and looked up at the pale moonlight. A twisted smile appeared on his face. 10 years. 10 years ago. His wife was in a car accident on her way home from work. After struggling in the ICU for dozens of days, she eventually passed away. Before her death, she called her mother to her bedside. Mom, I want to have 3 children with Li Yuan in the future. I've even thought of their names. Tell me, how can I make Li Yuan forget about me? This was the exact message passed on to Li Yuan by his mother-in-law. After his wife left, Li Yuan quit his job and dressed as a clown every day, making everyone in the city laugh, though he himself could no longer smile. 10 years. For these 10 years, I've tried so hard to force myself to move on, but the quieter, calmer, and more indifferent I became, the more the storm inside me boiled over. Your face is engraved in my heart. No matter what, I can't forget, and I don't want to forget. I'm exhausted. I really can't take it anymore. Li Yuan stood up on the rooftop, looking at the face of his wife on the ground. He spread his arms, a relieved smile appearing on his face, and slowly leaned back. Honey, I'm coming to find you. Falling, endlessly falling. The wind kept blowing, and memories flashed before Li Yuan's eyes as if they happened just yesterday. There was no fear on his face. Only release. Thud. It was as if 1,000 ants were crawling all over his body. He couldn't sit still, curling into a ball. Around him, there was nothing but darkness. After what felt like an eternity, a faint light finally appeared ahead. Li Yuan suddenly opened his eyes. February 2, 2022. Looking at the time displayed on his phone, Li Yuan couldn't help but fall into deep thought. I've been reborn, traveling back from 2032 to the day of my wife's car accident 10 years ago. Slap, Li Yuan smacked his face hard. The intense pain reminded him that this was no dream, he had really been reborn. Trembling. Li Yuan's entire body was shaking uncontrollably, the immense joy quickly spreading through him. How could this be? Why had he been reborn? Li Yuan couldn't be bothered to figure it out. It was already 5:15 p.m., and his wife was about to be in a car accident. Li Yuan frantically dialed his wife's number. Hello, honey, where are you? Listen to me, don't get into anyone's car. I'm coming to pick you up. Li Yuan's wife, Sun Yuan, answered on the other end. Honey, you're awake. I'm at the World Trade Center buying a gift for you. Li Yuan asked in confusion, a gift? Sun Yuan playfully replied, oh, today is February 2, 2022, the day of the most love. Oh. I've prepared a huge surprise just for you. Li Yuan was stunned. So, in the previous life, his wife had the accident while coming home after buying a gift for him. Sun Yuan seemed more eager than Li Yuan. Honey, I can't talk right now, see you soon. Oh, love you. With that, Sun Yuan hung up. Li Yuan was overwhelmed with mixed emotions. As a typical straight-laced man, Li Yuan wasn't great at creating romantic gestures, but his wife was the complete opposite. On every special occasion, she always prepared something carefully, as if she loved him to her very core. Time, 5:21 p.m. Li Yuan remembered very clearly that in just over an hour, his wife would be in a car accident. He rushed downstairs, unlocked a shared car at the entrance, and drove like a madman towards the World Trade Center. Wife. Wait for me, I'm on my way. Listen to me, remember, under no circumstances get into anyone's car. Wait for me. Half an hour later, Li Yuan arrived at the underground parking lot of the World Trade Center. Wife, I'm here. Where are you? I'm coming to get you. Li Yuan sent several WeChat messages to his wife, but she didn't respond. He dialed her number again. She hung up but sent a voice message. Oh. Honey, okay, I'll come find you after I finish shopping. Oh. Wait for me. Li Yuan finally felt a sense of relief. Since his wife already knew he was coming, as long as she didn't get into someone else's car, she shouldn't get into a car accident, right? With a flick, Li Yuan lit a cigarette with a match and started puffing away in his car. Suddenly, he noticed that the Zotti car diagonally across from him was shaking. And he recognized that car. It belonged to his close buddy, Liu Kai. What a coincidence. This guy really can't kick his bad habits. Li Yuan cursed with a grin and quickly pulled up Liu Kai's contact on WeChat, sending him a voice message. Hey, you rascal, where are you fooling around now? Watch out for your kidneys. Liu Kai didn't respond, but Li Yuan didn't mind. He knew that if that rascal had the time to reply right now, it would be a miracle. Instead, his attention turned back to the shaking car. Damn. Li Yuan raised a middle finger at the car from afar and cursed. That rascal must have been stuffing himself with oysters and garlic. I want to see just how long you can keep going. After a while, Li Yuan glanced at his phone and sneered, all show, no substance. A weakling. Just as he was about to get out of the car to mock Liu Kai, his gaze suddenly froze. What did he see? The car door on the other side opened, and Liu Kai got out. That wasn't important. What was important was that right after, Li Yuan saw his wife, Sun Yuan, also stepping out of the car. Li Yuan rubbed his eyes hard, hoping he was seeing things. But no, reality was far crueler. No matter how much he rubbed his eyes, there she was standing right there. She was as exquisite and beautiful as ever, especially those long legs in her tight blue jeans and high-heeled sandals. Absolutely stunning. But now, she had just stepped out of Liu Kai's car. And the intense shaking of the car just moments before? Even a fool could guess what had just happened. Li Yuan was dumbfounded, his mind completely blank. On the other side, Sun Yuan and Liu Kai were still savoring the aftermath of what had happened in the car, seemingly unaware of Li Yuan's presence. Sun Yuan even gently hugged Liu Kai before adjusting her big wavy hair, pulling out her phone, and sending Li Yuan a voice message. Honey, it's so crowded at the mall. I was just waiting in line. Where are you? I'm coming to find you now. More. Li Yuan didn't even need to check his phone. His wife's voice was already clearly audible outside the car. Liu Kai slapped Sun Yuan on the butt playfully and said with a sly grin, sis-in-law, calling him honey so sweetly, huh? Sun Yuan playfully scolded him, stop it. Be more serious. We're outside the car, with lots of people around. If someone we know sees us, we're done for. Liu Kai burst out laughing, oh, come on. I just can't help but laugh every time I hear you call that idiot Li Yuan your honey. Nothing tastes better than dumplings, you know what I mean? Sun Yuan rolled her eyes at him and opened her phone to transfer money. You're such a scoundrel. Today's a special day, so I didn't get you a gift. I'll transfer the money to you, buy something nice for yourself. Gotta go. Liu Kai glanced at his phone, his eyes lighting up. 5,210 yuan. Sis-in-law, you're too generous. When that idiot Li Yuan is working late at the company again, I'll come by your place. I promise I'll make sure you're fully satisfied. Sun Yuan smirked, oh, that's nothing. Li Yuan just got his paycheck yesterday, over 20,000 yuan, and he gave it all to me. This is just my treat to you. You wouldn't believe it, but that fool, Li Yuan, is so easy to please. I just buy him a little gift, and he's moved to tears. He thinks I love him so much, but little does he know, I'm just trying to get more money out of him. Liu Kai gave her a thumbs up. Sis-in-law, you're amazing. You've got Li Yuan wrapped around your finger. Oh, look, that idiot just sent me a WeChat message. Let me reply real quick. Har har har. Li Yuan, you know me, I'm not great at much, but with this mouth of mine, I can win over any woman. Especially that little tease just now, right there in my car, you can't imagine how wild it was. Li Yuan clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot. Liu Kai had always bragged to Li Yuan about how many women he'd been with and how great he was with them. Li Yuan used to enjoy hearing those stories, purely for fun. But now, he wasn't amused anymore, because that little tease Liu Kai was bragging about was none other than his own wife. Li Yuan could no longer be sure how many times, in the past, when Liu Kai had boasted about his conquests, he had actually been hinting at his wife. This scumbag had slept with Li Yuan's wife and even had the audacity to boast about it right in front of him. And sometimes, Li Yuan had even made dumb comments in response. Liu Kai must have felt incredibly smug back then. But the most ruthless betrayal came from Sun Yuan. In his previous life, Li Yuan had been so consumed with grief over Sun Yuan's death that he had developed severe depression, eventually ending his own life by jumping off a building. In this second life, he had thought that fate was giving him another chance, that he could prevent his wife's death, believing she had died in a car accident while coming home with a gift for him. But now, he realized that his wife had been cheating on him all along, and the person she had cheated with was none other than his best friend, Liu Kai. What a bitter twist of fate! Li Yuan's body began to tremble uncontrollably again. The only difference was that before, it had been from excitement, but now, it was from seething, uncontrollable rage. This scene called to mind an ancient poem, the scent of plum blossoms, painting the heavens fish-kissed stone in the water, answering spring's green. Rage. Overwhelming rage burned within Li Yuan. 10 years. I've tormented myself for 10 years. I always thought it was my fault. I blamed myself for not picking you up from work that day. But it turns out, you and Liu Kai had been scheming behind my back all along, putting a green hat on me. You didn't die in a car accident after work. You were cheating on me, and even fate couldn't stand it, so it took you away. Now I understand why, after your death, I instinctively became a clown. I wasn't just pretending to be a clown. Fate was telling me that I was always a clown. I'll kill you. I'll kill you both. I'll personally kill this pair of scumbags. With a face twisted in fury, Li Yuan stomped on the gas pedal with all his might. Chapter 2. V-Room. Li Yuan was roaring, and so was the engine, as the car surged forward like a beast breaking free. He was certain that in no more than 10 seconds, the car would hit those two despicable people, leaving no trace of their bodies. But just then, his phone rang. The caller ID displayed just one word: Mom. Mom? His mother's weathered face, etched with the struggles of life, flashed before Li Yuan's eyes. His father had passed away long ago, and it was his mother who had raised him alone. The phrase, endured hardship, couldn't fully encapsulate her sacrifices, only she truly knew the pain she had endured. In his past life, Li Yuan had tormented himself for 10 years over his wife's car accident. He had never thought, or perhaps subconsciously refused to consider, how much his self-inflicted punishment must have hurt his mother to witness. After his suicide by jumping off a building, how had his mother, who had raised him alone, managed to survive? Now, if he killed those two and became a murderer, he would surely face the death penalty. What would become of his mother then? No. I was unfilial enough in my past life. This time, I can't ruin my life and my mother's remaining years because of these two. And why did his mother call now, of all times? Perhaps, there was some divine intervention. In that split second, Li Yuan slammed the brakes and yanked the steering wheel, tires screeching as the car swerved, narrowly missing Sun Yuan and Liu Kai, speeding past them. Sun Yuan was startled. What a lunatic. Liu Kai jumped and cursed. What the hell, are you in such a hurry to reincarnate? The distance was too far for either of them to see clearly. Sun Yuan thought the figure in the car looked familiar, but she quickly dismissed the thought. Mom. After driving for a long while, Li Yuan managed to force himself to regain some semblance of composure. He called his mother, trying his best to sound as if nothing had happened. Mom, I was just in a meeting. What's up? His mother's voice came through the phone. Li Yuan, did I interrupt your work? No. What's the matter, Mom? Well, it's not much. I've saved up some eggs. If you have time after work, could you come by? Okay, I'll head over now. An hour later, Li Yuan arrived at his mother's place. She had been a worker at the national textile factory before it went bankrupt, leaving her unemployed. She still lived in the factory's housing complex, a dilapidated single-story house with a tiny courtyard. The place was long overdue for demolition, but due to unresolved debts from the factory's bankruptcy, it had become a well-known eyesore, often jokingly referred to as the slums of Jiangning. Rushing into the courtyard, Li Yuan froze in place. His mother was usually so frugal, never wasting water or electricity, gathering firewood for cooking. She even raised a small flock of chickens. But now, all of it was gone. The firewood, the chicken coop, it had all been cleared away. A notice was pasted on the wall. His mother stood by the remains of the chicken coop, her white hair fluttering in the wind. When she turned and saw Li Yuan, she hesitated for a moment before forcing a strained smile. "It's good to be able to read, Li Yuan." I couldn't make out the words on the notice. They tore down the chicken coop and confiscated the firewood, saying it was an eyesore and a safety hazard. I'd been burning firewood all my life, but I didn't know it could be dangerous. "Li Yuan, don't get upset. It's my fault, not theirs." Li Yuan clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his palms, his body trembling once again. His mother continued to smile. "It's all right. I've saved up the eggs. They are inside. Take them home to share with Yuan. They are homegrown, so she shouldn't be too picky." Pain, unbearable pain ripped through Li Yuan's heart. In his past life, he had been consumed by grief over his wife's death, never considering the agony his mother must have endured seeing him destroy himself. "Mom!" Li Yuan rushed forward, kneeling on the ground and gently hugging his mother's legs, shouting hoarsely, "Mom!" His mother was taken aback. "What's gotten into you? It's just a chicken coop. It's no big deal. Get up. If someone sees you, they'll laugh at you." Li Yuan refused to stand. He felt like he couldn't. He clung to her legs like a child, sobbing uncontrollably. His mother stroked his hair gently, her voice soft. "What's wrong? Is the pressure at work too much? Or have you been wronged?" "It's my fault, I'm useless and in poor health. I can't help you and just end up being a burden." "Did Yuan scold you again?" Li Yuan couldn't speak. He just held on. The neighbors peeked over, curious about the noise, but quickly left without saying a word. Li Yuan didn't care. He cried and cried as if he was trying to release all the pain and grievances that had built up over the years. He hated his wife, but he hated himself even more for his lack of filial piety. After a long while, he finally stopped crying. Sitting on the ground with his face in his hands, he asked quietly, "Mom, can I ask you something? Do you think there's a girl in this world who would work hard with me, grow old with me, and stay by my side?" His mother smiled warmly. "Silly boy, of course, there is. When we first met, I was in my 20s, and back then, your mom didn't have any gray hair or wrinkles." Li Yuan's heart skipped a beat, and he froze in place. After a long moment, his nose twitched, and he whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll never let this happen again." His mother hesitated for a moment before asking softly, "Li Yuan, did you have a fight with Yuan?" Li Yuan shook his head slightly. He didn't explain, and his mother didn't press further. Not because she didn't want to, but because she was afraid. Parents are like that when we grow up, they start hesitating to speak. When they stop asking questions, it doesn't mean they stop worrying, they just don't dare to pry, fearing it might burden us more. His mother brought out 2 bags of eggs, speaking gently, "Li Yuan, I can't read, and I don't know much about life's big truths. I can't help you much anymore. But no matter what happens out there, no matter how hard life gets or how much you've suffered, you can always come here. This place may be small and shabby, but it will always be your home. Remember that, okay?" Li Yuan nodded slightly and said softly, "I'll remember." "Take the eggs," his mother said, pressing the eggs into his hands. "I don't know what happened between you and Yuan, but Li Yuan, you're married now. As long as it's not a matter of principle, it's really not that big of a deal. Take the eggs home and tell Yuan that this is all I can offer. Don't let her complain, and use this chance to make up with her. Don't make me worry, all right?" Li Yuan gritted his teeth and said, "All right." An hour later, Li Yuan returned to the World Trade Center. As expected, his wife and Liu Kai had already left. Throughout this time, his wife had called him many times and sent numerous WeChat messages, all of which Li Yuan had ignored. At this moment, as the lights of the city began to shine, the World Trade Center was bustling with people, and there were clowns performing outside. With a sigh, Li Yuan walked down the stairs, sitting on the nearby steps and lighting a cigarette. A small match, a tiny flame, flickered and burned on Li Yuan's fingers, causing pain. But it felt like he didn't even notice the pain. Surrounded by people coming and going, Li Yuan sat alone, quietly watching the clown's performance, yet feeling like an even bigger clown himself. He had previously considered killing those two despicable people and paying the price with his own life. It would have been a final solution. But now, after returning from his mother's place, Li Yuan had gradually regained his composure and changed his mind. Just killing you like this? No, that won't work. It's not about being afraid, it's that you're not worth it. Exchange 1 for 2. No, I can't do that. I still have to take care of my mother. You don't deserve to trade lives with me. I've never apologized to my mother for our arguments even after she raised me for over 20 years. And now, I'm supposed to lower myself and endure you, even ruin my life. I'm sorry to her, and you're sorry to me. I want to make you suffer. I want to ruin your reputation and make your life worse than death. I want to personally send you to a mental hospital. Don't forget, I'm a severe depression patient. To put it bluntly, I'm a lunatic. When I go crazy, even I'm terrified of myself. After finishing his cigarette, Li Yuan slowly stood up. At that moment, the clown approached with a pink balloon, making a funny face and smiling. Hey, friend, I've been following you for a while. No matter what happens, don't be unhappy. Here, take this. Pink will definitely bring you good luck. Li Yuan took the balloon and, with a smile, asked, unhappy? No, I'm very happy. What I'm more interested in is whether you dress up as a clown and make people laugh because of life's necessities or something else. You make everyone laugh, but deep down, do you really feel happy? The clown's movements froze, and he was taken aback. Li Yuan patted the clown's shoulder and, still smiling, said, I give you the same advice no matter what happens, don't be unhappy. Because in the future, more unhappy things will be waiting for you. The clown was stunned. You're crazy. Har har har. Holding the pink balloon, Li Yuan walked towards his car, laughing loudly. That's right, I'm a lunatic. I'm a big fool. How far must one go to find the original self at the end of time? How many sins must one commit to bring her back to the light at the end of hell? After you're gone, the world suddenly seems dull. At first, I thought it was because no one else was worth loving. Later, I realized that after loving you, it's hard for me to love anyone else. It's not that I'm obsessed with love, I must admit. I probably just miss you, the person you used to be, not the you now. Unfortunately, the you back then is dead. Dead. Li Yuan's eyes were bloodshot, like a wounded beast, his heart screaming and roaring in madness. Sun Yuan, you're just a wretch. Since you were the first to wrong me, don't blame me for being ruthless. You turned me into a severe depression patient, you made me a lunatic, so don't think you'll have an easy time. I will drive you insane step by step. I will personally send you to the best mental hospital. I will choose a room for you that's perfect for jumping off the building so you can experience the feeling of leaping from the rooftop. Har. Har ha 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 ha. Surrounding him, everyone looked at Li Yuan as if he were a fool. Only the clown had suddenly reddened eyes. Only a clown could understand the feelings of another clown at this moment, only a clown could comprehend the despair. Clown, how much suffering and how many tears does it take to stand here? Li Yuan sang softly and laughed recklessly. He laughed maniacally, his laughter wild and arrogant. Though he was laughing, tears had unknowingly covered his face. He was a severe depression patient, he was a lunatic. But at this moment, he resembled more a demon that had just crawled out of hell, its whole body still burning with fierce flames. He wanted to burn all those who had wronged him with the flames of hatred. He wanted to drag everyone down to hell with him. Except for his mother. In this world, there was nothing and no one else worth his attachment. If it's sinking, then let it sink, continue sinking, don't stop, sink to the very depths. To the desolate 9 abysses. Chapter 3. Around midnight, Li Yuan returned to the apartment complex, returned the shared car, and went upstairs with the pink balloon and eggs. When he opened the door, Sun Yuan, seeing Li Yuan for the first time, jumped up from the sofa and shouted, Li Yuan, you bastard! How dare you come back? Sun Yuan hadn't he died, the car accident had not happened. Clearly, due to Li Yuan's rebirth and his attempt to pick up Sun Yuan, she had likely waited at the World Trade Center for him for a long time and missed the accident successfully. Unfortunately, in Li Yuan's heart, if given a choice, he would rather Sun Yuan had died. Now that she hadn't, his own heart was already dead. This is my home. Why shouldn't I come back? Li Yuan said calmly. Sun Yuan, hopping mad, yelled, "Do you know how many calls and messages I sent you? Why didn't you reply? Didn't you say you were coming to pick me up? Where the hell have you been?" Li Yuan retorted, "And what about you? Where did you go?" Sun Yuan's body stiffened slightly. She quickly grabbed a razor from the table and said, "I was buying you a gift. A Gillette razor." If it were in the past, Li Yuan would have been deeply moved by the gesture, no matter the cost, appreciating the thought behind the gift. But now? "You transferred 5,210 yuan to that scum Liu Kai, and all you got me was a razor worth less than 200 yuan. How dare you flaunt that in front of me? You know what's ironic? You might not believe it, but I actually went out this afternoon to buy you a gift too." As he spoke, Li Yuan shoved the pink balloon into Sun Yuan's hands, smiling, "Har, I heard pink brings good luck. How do you like it?" Surprised, Sun Yuan looked at the pink balloon in her hands, then at Li Yuan, trembling with anger. "You went out all night and all you got me is a balloon. You might as well not have bought anything." Li Yuan was immediately displeased. A small gift carries a lot of sentiment. "Besides, I already told you, pink will bring you good luck." Li Yuan squinted, a slight smile on his lips, his face remaining cheerful. "I guarantee you, you'll definitely have more and more good luck in the future. Luck is priceless, understand?" Sun Yuan, exasperated, said, "I even prepared a gift for you on this special day. Today is 20220202, do you understand? Don't come back to the bedroom tonight." Li Yuan sneered, "Isn't he that ironic? You know, even though I'm not picky with food, I would never eat leftovers because I think they are dirty." Sun Yuan's face stiffened. She was clearly feeling guilty. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Sun Yuan stomped her foot in frustration. "Li Yuan, what's wrong with you? Did you drink too much fake wine?" Li Yuan shrugged, knowing it wasn't time to reveal everything yet. He smiled and said, "What are you talking about? I was just speaking casually." "Casually speaking?" Sun Yuan thought about the familiar figure she had seen in the speeding car at the World Trade Center earlier that day and her heart tightened. She tentatively asked, "Li Yuan, you went to the World Trade Center today, right?" What she really wanted to ask was whether Li Yuan had seen her with Liu Kai. Li Yuan's lips curled up slightly, but he remained calm. "I did go there, but then my mom called me, so I left." As he spoke, Li Yuan held up the eggs. "Look, these are eggs my mom saved up herself, and she asked me to bring them back for you." Sun Yuan not only showed no appreciation but also sharply retorted, "On this special day, you leave me to go find your mom just to get these disgusting eggs? I've told you many times, your mom is a burden. If she really cares, she should give money instead of wasting time on useless stuff. I don't want it." As she finished speaking, Sun Yuan slapped the bag. The bag, already full of eggs, tore apart, and the eggs fell to the floor, smashing into pieces. Li Yuan's fists clenched tightly. Honestly, at this moment, he wanted nothing more than to strangle Sun Yuan on the spot. His mother's health was poor, the cotton mill had gone bankrupt, and she was unemployed. She felt she was a burden to Li Yuan and never asked him for money, doing odd jobs instead. She never ate the eggs from the chickens she raised and always had Li Yuan bring them to Sun Yuan. Now, the henhouse had been dismantled, and Sun Yuan had smashed all the eggs. Destroyed them into pieces. Li Yuan was furious to the extreme. But he knew in his heart that now was not the time for a complete confrontation. He grabbed a bowl and painstakingly gathered the broken eggs into it, then said with a flat expression, "First, my mother gave birth to and raised me. Without her, there would be no me. She has never been a burden to me. Second, you may not eat the eggs, but you have no right to waste them." Sun Yuan scoffed, "Just a few rotten eggs. How much are they worth? A few bucks a pound. Should I compensate you?" Li Yuan was silent. The eggs were scattered all over the floor, just like his heart, shattered into pieces and full of wounds. "No need to compensate, you can't even afford it. If you don't want them, I'll eat them." "Oh, and do you know why I didn't answer your calls tonight?" Li Yuan pulled out his phone and said seriously, "Because my phone is broken." Sun Yuan, question mark. Li Yuan, the battery is swollen. Sun Yuan Yuan. Li Yuan, do you know why a phone battery swells? Sun Yuan Yuan. Li Yuan winked at Sun Yuan Yuan and smiled. A swollen battery is usually caused by either long charging without unplugging or using different types of chargers repeatedly. That's why it gets damaged and starts to smell bad. Sun Yuan Yuan was completely puzzled and couldn't understand what Li Yuan was talking about. Li Yuan, not bothering to explain further, said, "You should go to bed early. I have some work to finish and will be staying up all night." With that, Li Yuan turned and walked into the study, closing the door behind him. Sun Yuan Yuan, infuriated, tried to open the door, only to find that Li Yuan had locked it from the inside. "Li Yuan! You bastard! Don't even think about touching me. Don't even think about it." After saying this, Sun Yuan Yuan angrily returned to the bedroom and locked the door as well. Li Yuan shrugged. "Touch you? You're thinking too much. I've said it before, I'm not picky with food, but I'm a neat freak. Touch you? Do you even deserve it?" With a click, Li Yuan took out a matchbox, struck a match, and slowly lit his cigarette. Lighting a cigarette with a match had become a habit for Li Yuan after developing depression, and almost every time, he would quietly watch the match burn until it reached his fingers. He hoped to use the physical pain to alleviate the pain in his heart. Li Yuan smoked and then opened his phone. Broken? The phone was perfectly fine, and as for the work, that was pure nonsense. Li Yuan scrolled through his WeChat contacts and found his childhood friend, Sun Ergu. "Ergu, get me a few hidden cameras, okay? You know, the covert kind." Sun Ergu's parents were also laid-off workers from the state cotton mill. Li Yuan had grown up with this guy. He deserved time for a fight, spent half a year in prison, and after he got out, he started a small, rundown phone shop. In this business, well, you could say it's understood by those who know. Sun Ergu replied quickly, "Bro, I don't get it. I'm not that kind of person." Li Yuan, cut the crap, just tell me how much it'll cost. Sun Ergu, it's not about the money. Li Yuan, I'll give you another chance to rephrase that. Sun Ergu, it'll cost more money. Heh, trying to fleece me. Li Yuan, how is your relationship with your girlfriend? Let us have a meal together sometime. I want to chat with her about your past flings, especially how your ex tortured you. I think this needs to be discussed in detail. Sun Ergu, bro, stop it. I get it. What are we? We're brothers. Real brothers. You're my real brother. How many do you want? Li Yuan thought for a moment. Let us start with 6. Sun Ergu, wow, didn't he expect that? Bro, you're really going big. Have you finally seen the light after all these years? Learn some new tricks. Remember to share them with me. I promise I won't be holding a gun. Li Yuan, you got into a fight for your ex-girlfriend and went to prison. When you got out, she had already run off with someone else. Does your current girlfriend know about this? Sun Ergu, bro, I was wrong. I'll arrange it for you tomorrow, delivery to your door, full service. Money is no problem. Li Yuan, so polite? Am I troubling you too much? Sun Ergu, of course. I said we're brothers. Real brothers. That night, Li Yuan had a dream. In the dream, his mother-in-law stood at the ICU entrance, crying and wiping her nose, saying to Li Yuan, Yuan said she originally planned to have 3 kids with you and even had their names picked out, but now she is dying and doesn't he know how to make you forget her? Li Yuan gave her a slap. You're talking nonsense. Your daughter is lying. She is only using some sappy lines to fool me because she is about to die, trying to leave herself a good reputation. Immediately after, Sun Yuan appeared in front of the ICU, looking deeply emotional. Li Yuan, I'm not afraid of dying, but I can't bear to leave you. Li Yuan grabbed Sun Yuan by the hair and slammed her against the wall. You're lying. You're just a fraud. You've deceived me for a lifetime. I want to kill you. I want to kill you with my own hands. The dream shattered abruptly. Li Yuan jolted awake, drenched in cold sweat. Time, 10:17 a.m. The sunlight was a bit blinding. Sun Yuan was already gone, probably off to work. Li Yuan silently went to the bathroom to wash his face and then to the kitchen to fry the eggs that Sun Yuan had smashed the night before. He ate them with relish. On one hand, these were eggs saved by his mother. On the other hand, he knew very clearly that if he wanted to carry out the most insane revenge on his wife and Liu Kai, he had to keep himself in good health. In fact, he needed to learn to control his depression. As he was eating, the doorbell rang, and Sun Ergu's voice followed. "Bro, my dear bro, I'm here. Open the door." Li Yuan opened the door. "Wow, haven't seen you this enthusiastic in a while." Sun Ergu, looking distressed, said, "Are you serious? You keep threatening me with your ex-girlfriend. How could I not be enthusiastic? So, tell me, where do you want these things installed? Not in a hotel, right? We can't do anything illegal." Li Yuan smiled. "I'll install them in my own home. Isn't that legal?" Sun Ergu. "In your home?" Sun Ergu shrieked. "Bro, how much fake wine did you drink? Are you out of your mind?" Chapter 4. What's wrong with installing them at home? Li Yuan smiled. "I want them installed at home, and in every room." Sun Ergu was visibly distressed. "No, bro, this isn't safe. What's the point of installing them at home?" Li Yuan's smile remained. "Oh? Really? Then tell me, what's so unsafe about it?" Sun Ergu rubbed his forehead in frustration. "Let me give you an example. Once, when I was talking with my girlfriend about changing appliances, the next day, my phone was bombarded with ads from Dog East and Taobao. Even the novels I read had ads related to appliances. The internet has no concept of information security, whether it's Apple or Android, it's the same. Cameras are no different." Sun Ergu lowered his voice. "Bro, let me be blunt. So-called camera encryption is nonsense. Anyone can crack it in minutes and see everything happening in your home, including stored footage. Whatever you and your wife do at home will be visible to someone. Some unscrupulous people make money by selling such videos. If this gets out, your wife and you will be all over the internet." Li Yuan nodded slightly and tossed Sun Ergu a cigarette, maintaining his smile. "I know." Sun Ergu. No, Sun Ergu was visibly agitated. "If you know, then why are you still installing them at home? I thought you wanted them in a hotel or office." Li Yuan took a puff of his cigarette and fell silent. Sun Ergu stared, also falling into a long silence. Sun Ergu's real name wasn't actually Sun Ergu, his real name was Sun Bin. Since he was the second child in the family, his parents had always called him Erguzi, and thus the name Sun Ergu stuck. Sun Ergu and Li Yuan had grown up together, and he knew Li Yuan very well. "My mom called me yesterday and said you came home in the afternoon and cried in your mother's arms." Sun Ergu took a drag of his cigarette and said quietly, "Bro, you've always been stubborn since we were kids. I rarely saw you cry even when we were in school. Now, you're installing hidden cameras at home. If I'm not mistaken, something must be wrong with your wife, right?" Li Yuan exhaled a puff of smoke and finally said one word after a long pause. "Yes." Sun Ergu clenched his fists tightly. "Does your mom know about this?" Li Yuan shook his head slightly. "No, at least, not yet." Sun Ergu spoke with a heavy tone. "So what's the point of installing cameras now? Are you planning to gather evidence to completely sever ties with your wife? When this blows up, can your mom handle it? Auntie's health has never been great. I'm worried she can't take this kind of shock." Li Yuan remained silent for a moment before slowly speaking. "I don't want to, but I've thought it over. Short pain is better than long pain. I'll find a way to explain it to my mom. Even though she can't read, she understands more than I do. Besides, I can't swallow this resentment without dealing with that pair of scoundrels. Do you know who my wife's affair partner is? It's Liu Kai." Sun Ergu was stunned and then erupted with anger. "Liu Kai? Damn it. He has always been like a brother to you, how dare he?" Li Yuan fell silent again. Sun Ergu's face darkened. "If I remember correctly, bro, you've helped Liu Kai a lot over the years, right? He used to drink with us often. So, bro, you're planning to blow this whole thing up, aren't you?" Li Yuan nodded. "Yes, Liu Kai is getting married soon. Did you receive an invitation too? I plan to ruin his and that woman's reputation completely on his wedding day." Sun Ergu threw away his cigarette butt. "All right, bro, I'll handle it. You have a computer at home, right? I'll encrypt the cameras and transfer all the footage directly to your computer's South hard drive. You can do whatever you want with it." Li Yuan patted Sun Ergu's shoulder. "Thanks for your help." Sun Ergu replied with irritation. "I've already said, we're brothers. If I didn't help you with this, I wouldn't be Sun Ergu. 2 hours later. The living room, master bedroom, guest room, bathroom, study, and balcony 6 hidden cameras were all installed. Sun Ergu spent a while fiddling with the desktop computer in Lee Yuan's study. Bro, it's done. Lee Yuan apologized, I'll need some time to pay you for this. You know, I give all my salary to that woman, so I don't have much money left. This is the sorrow of married men. Working hard to earn money, only to hand it over to your wife, and you don't even know what she does with it. For instance, Lee Yuan's wife used his salary to transfer 5210 to Liu Kai. Who can you even complain to? Money isn't a problem. Pay me whenever you have the funds. If you forget, it's no big deal. Bro, I'm leaving now. Take care. With that, Sun Ergu left immediately. Sometimes life is so ironic. You open your heart to someone, thinking they are your best brother, only to find out they stab you in the back, like Liu Kai, who always pretended to be decent. And then there are friends you haven't contacted in ages. When you call them, they come to help, like Sun Ergu, who always appeared disheveled. It's just like the old saying, I'm not afraid of being stabbed in the back by others, but I fear turning around and finding that it's you, my best brother, who did it. Li Yuan appeared calm on the outside, but inside he was already boiling with rage. As Sun Ergu said, he had indeed been open-hearted with Liu Kai, even helping him out many times in recent years. Unexpectedly, Liu Kai ended up betraying him. Li Yuan's hatred for Liu Kai was no less than for Sun Yuan. After a moment of composure, Li Yuan glanced at the hidden cameras scattered throughout the house, expressionless. He took out his phone and began sending messages to his wife. Dear, I've been thinking all night. It's my fault for not preparing a gift for you. I'm sorry. You know I'm not good with romance. Can you forgive me? I'm going to the office now. I promise I'll give you a sincere gift when I get off work tonight. Love you. After sending these messages, Li Yuan didn't even wait for his wife's reply. He bounced down the stairs like a madman. I should have been a raging beast against the world, but I've retracted my claws and chosen to be a fool. Should be a celestial being drunk and tearing apart the white clouds. Too many people down the mountain, let us meet at the top. Chapter 5. Li Yuan thought that Sun Yuan had gone to work, but in fact, she hadn't. She had taken a leave and then sent a message to Liu Kai, asking him to come out. Sis, what's up? Liu Kai grabbed Sun Yuan's hand with a playful smile and said, Did you just see me yesterday? Are you already missing your little brother? It seems Li Yuan can't handle you at all. He clearly can't take care of this delicate flower of yours. Sun Yuan replied with irritation, he spends every day working overtime. Besides handing over his salary, he never understands romance. Every night when he comes home, he's as exhausted as a dead dog and just lies motionless in the bedroom. There's no comparison to you. Look at that. Reality is so ironic. As a man, working hard outside to earn money and handing over his entire salary, feeling exhausted all over, what does he get in return? It's mockery and criticism for lacking romance. I have something serious to discuss with you today. Sun Yuan said with a frown. Last night, Li Yuan got mad at me. He has never lost his temper with me before. I seriously suspect that he saw the two of us at the World Trade Center yesterday. Liu Kai was startled. That's impossible, right? What did he say to you? Sun Yuan thought for a moment. He said some strange and sarcastic things. But it didn't seem like a big deal. The strange part was, his sickly mother brought me 2 bags of eggs. Liu Kai was visibly relieved and laughed, It's all right, then. Why are you so worried? Li Yuan's mother still cares for you? I heard Li Yuan's mom saves the eggs for you and never eats them herself. To be honest, sis, you're quite lucky. Sun Yuan curled her lips, I don't care about that. Last night, I smashed the eggs on the floor, and Li Yuan that idiot painstakingly gathered them into a bowl. What a big achievement. I detest such stingy men. Liu Kai laughed heartily, Sis, you're so impressive. Just then, Sun Yuan's phone beeped, and she glanced at it with a sneer. Oh, Li Yuan the fool is apologizing. He said he would bring me a gift tonight after work. Liu Kai gave a thumbs up, Sis, you're amazing. You've got Li Yuan wrapped around your finger. At this point, Liu Kai paused for a moment and suddenly shifted the topic. So, Li Yuan is at work, right? He's not at home, correct? Sun Yuan shot Liu Kai a coquettish look, pretending not to know. What do you want to do? Do. Liu Kai grinned. Sis, this is a perfect opportunity. I was just saying yesterday that I'd visit your place. Now, isn't he this chance here? Sun Yuan pretended to look reserved. Isn't he this a bit inappropriate? What if Li Yuan finds out? He might be furious enough to kill someone. Har har har. Liu Kai laughed. That's exactly what makes it thrilling. Besides, sis, you know I'm getting married soon. Once I'm married, the opportunities to sneak around will be rare. We need to seize this chance now. Shall we go? Let us go. At Yunding Technology Company, Limited. Li Yuan had just walked into the office. Before he could settle into his seat, Supervisor Tang Yud stormed over, fuming. Li Yuan. Look at the time. Do you think this company is your home? You come and go as you please. Li Yuan shot Tang Yud a cold glance. At home, I can lie down or sit as I please. How can the company compare? Tang Yud was stifled. Consider today as an absentee day. If you dare do this again, don't even think about working here. Get out immediately. Li Yuan succinctly retorted, go to hell. Tang Yud, enraged, shouted, what did you say? Say it again. Go to hell. Li Yuan stood up from his seat. I said go to hell. Can't hear clearly. Go to hell. Go to hell. Is that clear enough? Tang Yud was stunned, shaking with anger. You're fired. Li Yuan, you're fired. Li Yuan rolled his eyes. Tang, you say that every day. Do you really think I'm some plaything? I'm quitting. I don't need you to fire me, I'm leaving. Tang Yud was momentarily dumbfounded. What did you say? Li Yuan coldly replied, I'm quitting. I'm firing you. What can you do about it? Tang Yud pondered for 2 seconds. Li Yuan, what's wrong? Are you unhappy today? Can't you reconsider? How can you quit like this? Har. Colleagues in the office burst out laughing uncontrollably. Li Yuan said, no need to reconsider. I've had enough of you. I'm quitting, I'm done. At these words, Tang Yud was utterly furious. You can't just quit. Li Yuan, calm down. Think about it, you're married, your wife's health isn't great, you have a mortgage, and you're about to have a child. That's all money. How will you live if you quit? Li Yuan stubbornly replied, I don't care. I'm quitting. Hurry up and have the finance department settle my wages. I'm leaving now. Tang Yud, red-faced and anxious, said, my dear God, stop messing around. What will I do if you quit? I'm sorry, I apologize, okay? What do you want? Li Yuan thought for a moment. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Advance me a month's salary 20,000. I'll reluctantly continue working. Tang Yud shouted, advance salary. Absolutely not. The company has never done that. If I open this door, it'll be a problem in the future. Li Yuan pondered for 2 seconds, then lend me 20,000. This way, it won't violate company policy, right? Tang Yud. What, am I your personal bank? Advance salary is not allowed, so you want me to cover it myself. What kind of logic is this? Tang Yud pointed at Li Yuan, you're something. You've really got guts. Just wait. As he spoke, Tang Yud took out his phone and transferred 20,000 to Li Yuan via WeChat. We'll deduct it from your salary next month. Make sure you get back to work. Tang Yud glared around the office. What are you looking at? Do you think you don't need to work? Haven't you seen a concerned supervisor before? Keep working. With that, Tang Yud hurriedly retreated to his small office. He was the one who said the harshest words and took the most severe hits. Impressive, really impressive. Li Yuan, you're something, actually making the supervisor pay out of his own pocket. That's something. Only you could pull this off. No one else could. Indeed, Li Yuan wasn't new to fighting with Tang Yud. Old Tang wasn't a bad person, just someone with a big mouth. Nowadays, many companies exploit employees' familial responsibilities, mortgages, and family commitments to squeeze them dry. But Li Yuan was an exception. Some say that the 21st century lacks talent, but if you dare quit today, tomorrow there will be someone even better to fill your spot. One carrot, one hole. No company will stop spinning just because you leave. But in reality, that's nonsense. The 21st century is most lacking in true talent. The difference is that the earlier talent is fake, while the real talent is genuine. If you can achieve excellence in a field, you are true talent. Li Yuan, for instance, is a programmer, and his level is among the highest at Yunding Technology. Today, Li Yuan is quitting. Finding someone with comparable skills to him for the same salary is possible but will definitely take time. Without Li Yuan, the entire tech department will fall into brief chaos, that's certain. But Li Yuan quitting today, and starting at a rival company this afternoon, believe it or not, his rival companies have been poaching him for years. This shift of talent to a competitor is practically a gift to them, right? Moreover, Li Yuan knows the company inside out. If he leaves behind any backdoors or bugs, who can guarantee they'll be fixed immediately? That's the real leverage Li Yuan holds. In fact, while the internet industry presents a strong midlife crisis, for an ordinary person looking to change their fate, it's the best choice because of its high initial salary. Take Li Yuan for example, who easily earns 20,000 a month. That's why Sun Yuan was willing to marry him. Don't believe those online salary claims of hundreds of thousands or millions. These days, a salary of 10,000 a month puts you ahead of 99% of your peers. That's the reality. Furthermore, Li Yuan was actually performing a show by coming to the company today. How could Tang Yud, who dares to confront a severely depressed person like Li Yuan who thinks he is practically insane, be asking for trouble? Li Yuan had tolerated a bit for the sake of his family, but now, he only thinks of revenge and doesn't he care about anything else. Tolerate? Tolerate what? No one has any face. He wanted Tang's 20,000 purely to repay Sun Ergu. But after transferring the money, it was directly returned by Sun Ergu. Brother, I don't have much skill to help you. You need money now, so keep it for yourself. I'm not in a hurry. Seeing Sun Ergu's message, Li Yuan stared blankly for a long time. At this moment, his phone suddenly vibrated. Li Yuan squinted and opened the cloud video on his phone. The next moment, the video showed Sun Yuan, the ungrateful woman, indeed bringing Liu Kai back home. Li Yuan clenched his fists tightly. The reason he wanted to install cameras at home was because Liu Kai had said the day before that he would go home with Sun Yuan when Li Yuan wasn't there. Li Yuan had been waiting for this moment. Yet, even when the moment arrived, Li Yuan still felt a sharp pain in his heart. Even though he had already given up on Sun Yuan, how could he forget her completely all at once after having spent 10 years of his life for her in the past? Doggy, help me with one more thing. Call the police and say there's a thief in my house. After sending the message, Li Yuan stood up and headed out. Tang Yud shouted, Li Yuan, I've already given you the money. What are you going to do now? Li Yuan said without looking back, got the money, what's there to be afraid of? I'm taking leave today. Tang Yud, I'm not approving. Li Yuan, approve or not, it's up to you. Have the guts to fire me. Tang Yud was furious, come back. You little bastard. I see you're determined to drive me to my grave. Damn it. Chapter 6. Li Yuan hurried back to his apartment as quickly as possible but didn't go upstairs. Instead, he turned and got into Sun Ergu's Wuling Hongguan. Doggy, Li Yuan handed Sun Ergu a cigarette and said, thanks for your hard work. Sun Ergu replied gloomily, brother, are you sure about this? Making such a big fuss will get the entire neighborhood talking about you being cuckolded. Is it worth it? Aren't you worried about what others might think of you? Li Yuan chuckled lightly and said, I don't care. Besides, it's Sun Yuan who is cheating, so she and Liu Kai should be the ones embarrassed. Why does it seem like I'm in the wrong here? Sun Ergu asked, didn't you originally plan to expose the video at Liu Kai's wedding? Why are you causing such a scene now? Li Yuan shook his head. Because I need to file a report with the police. I need ironclad evidence. I want Sun Yuan to walk away with nothing, to lose everything she has now. But if you expose the video at the wedding and then call the police, they'll definitely ask where the video came from. I don't want to drag you into this. Catch the thief in the act. This is the best opportunity. I can't make an appearance myself right now. If I do, those two will realize I know about their affair. Reporting to the police today is just the first step. Next, I'll pretend to remain clueless. When Liu Kai's wedding happens, I want to just expose the video there. I'll also send it to their company email and to all their friends and family, including my mother-in-law. Li Yuan said with a grin, I want everyone to know their disgrace. I want this couple to be thoroughly disgraced. Sun Ergu saw that Li Yuan was smiling as he spoke, and wondered how he could still smile under such circumstances. How deeply must a man be hurt to end up like this? But I already know about their affair, brother. Sun Ergu said, puzzled. Aren't they afraid I might tell you about it? Li Yuan smiled and said, we'll see what happens then. You might even make a fortune. This is exactly what you're best at, isn't it? Sun Ergu's eyes lit up. Got it, leave it to me. With that, Sun Ergu got out of the car, carrying a cardboard box. He went downstairs and seriously dialed Li Yuan's number. Brother, I'm delivering something for you. What? You're not home. I'll leave it at the property management office then. Hey, I see someone on your balcony. Could it be a thief? After hanging up, Sun Ergu immediately dialed 110 and repeated the situation. My buddy's house has been broken into. Yes, I'm sure. I saw it clearly. Please come quickly. Soon, the police arrived and quickly called Li Yuan. Li Yuan replied calmly, yes, my friend has informed me. Neither my wife nor I are at home. I'm tied up at work, so have my buddy check it out. If there is no thief, then great. If there is, let the police handle it. Li Yuan watched as Sun Ergu led the police upstairs. With a click, Li Yuan lit a cigarette. Through his phone, he could clearly see that the couple was indeed at home and having a great time. They were in the bedroom, the living room, the bathroom, and even went through Li Yuan's small study. The balcony was no exception. Li Yuan's apartment was on the third floor, and Sun Ergu's claim of seeing someone on the balcony was entirely credible. Despite this, Li Yuan still felt a pang of pain as he watched the video on his phone. Once upon a time, I naively believed that as long as I worked hard to support my family and didn't go out to indulge myself, I would be a good man. Because of this, I gave all my salary to you and came home right after work. I once thought that a woman's greatest pride wasn't in how many men she had but in how many women her man was willing to turn away for her. A man's pride wasn't in how many women he had slept with but in having one woman willing to spend a lifetime with him. But reality has proven me wrong. Li Yuan looked up, gazing toward the balcony, with a strangely sinister smile on his face. Goods have an expiration date, and people can become tiresome. I want to see how long you can remain so arrogant in my heart. At the door, the police first removed the peephole with tools and then used another tool through the hole to start unlocking the door from the inside. In fact, most professional locksmiths do it this way because it's the only method that won't damage the lock. Awesome, awesome. Sun Ergu recorded the whole process with his phone, grinning. What is this called? This is called professionalism. The police gave Sun Ergu a disapproving look. Why are you filming? No filming allowed. Sun Ergu said earnestly, Officer, you have to understand. This is my home, it's my buddy's home. Whether or not there is a thief inside, I need to send this video to my buddy to prove my innocence. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain. Besides, this is about catching a thief. Sun Ergu, excited, said, it's not every day you get to see this. I need to record it and post it on Douyin. Who knows, it might go viral. The police said sternly, if there really is a thief inside, you can't record or share it. We have a duty to protect his privacy, even if he is a thief. As they spoke, the door opened. Everyone stepped back, and the police rushed inside. The living room was empty, the bedroom was empty, the balcony was empty, and the bathroom was empty. But as soon as they entered the bedroom, everyone was stunned. There were indeed people in the bedroom, 2 people, in fact. They weren't just disheveled, they weren't wearing anything at all. This definitely didn't look like a thief. Sun Yuan and Liu Kai were also stunned. They had been so absorbed in their activities that they hadn't even heard the door being opened. Sis-in-law. Sun Ergu deliberately acted shocked and said loudly, Li Yuan isn't home again. How could you do this to my brother? Who is he? Liu Kai? It's you? Sun Ergu instantly flew into a rage and shouted, my brother considered you a good friend, and yet you've cuckolded him. If I don't beat you to a pulp today, I'm not Sun Ergu. As he spoke, Sun Ergu rushed forward and delivered a powerful kick to Liu Kai's face. Calm down, comrade. You can't hit people. The police grabbed Sun Ergu. Sun Ergu shouted at Liu Kai, if you have guts, don't run. I'm going to beat you to death today. The police were quite frustrated. They came to catch a thief and ended up catching a couple in the act. What kind of situation was this? The police shot a stern look at Liu Kai. Aren't you going to leave? Liu Kai scrambled to his feet, put on a pair of pants, and fled downstairs. Hey, you son of a bitch, don't run. Sun Ergu cursed loudly, you can run from me, but you can't escape your karma. Just wait. Enough. The police, looking helpless, said, this matter isn't within our jurisdiction. How about you both calm down for now? It's quite ironic. In ancient times, visiting brothels was legal, but cheating on your spouse would get you punished harshly. Nowadays, visiting brothels is illegal, but cheating is mostly just a matter of moral constraints. And morals don't really hold anyone back. This is why some people act so brazenly. Even more ironic is that in ancient times, marriage was highly formalized. A grand sedan chair carried a lady of high status. A heavy bride price was paid for a virgin. A proper marriage with formal announcements was done to secure a virtuous wife. 3 letters and 6 etiquettes were required to ensure the bride was cultured and polite. It's undeniable that this method was outdated, but it was fair. The bride's heavy dowry meant she would be respected and protected, while the groom's substantial expense earned him significant authority at home and the option to take a concubine. But now, the situation is different. The earlier customs have intensified, while the later customs have practically vanished. What? You want to speak up? It's best if you stay silent. If you speak too much, they might just give you a warning with their fists and then cyberbully you, making you socially dead. Are you afraid? At this moment, what can Sun Yuan and Liu Kai do? They are cheating, and yet the law can't punish them. Moreover, if Li Yuan were to resort to violence, he would be the one breaking the law. TSK, laughing at the poor but not at the prostitutes, ancient wisdom does not deceive me. Li Yuan watched as Liu Kai, dressed in only pants, fled downstairs in a disheveled state and quickly drove off in his zoti. In the past, Li Yuan would have wanted nothing more than to see this bastard dead on the spot. But now, he remained unmoved, showing no interest at all. Everything was going according to his plan, perfectly under control. Sun Yuan used to say that Li Yuan wasn't mature enough, but what she didn't realize was that a man loves you when he acts childish in front of you. When he no longer loves you, he becomes even more mature and steady than your father. Half an hour later, the police gradually left. Sun Ergu looked at Sun Yuan, his face dark with anger. This won't end here. I'm going to tell Li Yuan right away. Then you'll see how he deals with you and that little bastard Liu Kai. Sun Yuan, pale and tearful, pleaded, Ergu, I know I was wrong. Please spare me. Don't tell Li Yuan about this. Without Li Yuan, where else could she find someone who spoiled her to the core? Sun Ergu, in a rage, said, I just don't understand. Li Yuan treated you so well, why did you do this? And if you had found someone better than my brother, we could have tolerated it. But Liu Kai is just a street scoundrel. Besides sweet talk, what else does he have? Tell me, are you shameless or what? Sun Yuan whispered, you can curse me as much as you want, just don't tell Li Yuan. I'm willing to give you a lot of money to keep this secret. Sun Ergu said firmly, don't even think about it. ## Chapter 7. Money? Sun Ergu said with deep frustration, you think you can just bribe me with money? What do you take me for? Sun Yuan held up 2 fingers, 20,000. I can give you 20,000. Sun Ergu sneered, this isn't about money. I'm not that kind of person. Sun Yuan quickly raised the offer, 50,000. Sun Ergu replied, you're insulting me. 100,000. Sun Yuan said firmly, this is the highest I can offer. Ergu, if you keep this secret from me, I can give you 100,000. Sun Ergu suddenly fell silent. Noticing Sun Ergu's wavering, Sun Yuan seized the moment. Ergu, you have a girlfriend, right? You're at the stage of talking about marriage, right? Have you saved up the bride price? This is 100,000. How long would it take you to earn that much in pure profit? But now, all you have to do is agree, and I can give you 100,000 immediately. Sun Ergu retorted, the money you're offering is all earned by Li Yuan, right? You're using my brother's money to bribe me. Do you still have any shame? Sun Yuan bristled, don't worry where the money comes from. It fell into my hands, and that's my ability. Sun Ergu slowly said, Li Yuan is my old friend, my buddy. Before he could finish, Sun Yuan cut in, what does being an old friend matter? How much can they give you? Is this really interesting? Sun Ergu repeated, I said, Li Yuan is a good friend, a very good friend. Sun Yuan responded, I also said, friends won't give you money. Sun Ergu replied, no. What I mean is, since Li Yuan is my best friend, if you want me to keep this secret, you'll have to pay more. Sun Yuan was taken aback, wow, I thought you were going to stand up for your friend, but in the end, you're asking for more money. I'm really impressed. Sun Yuan stared, astonished, and sarcastically said, I didn't expect you to be such a money grubber. You keep saying Li Yuan is your best buddy, but it seems your friendship is only worth this amount of money. Sun Ergu rolled his eyes, you're my brother's wife. None of us are any better than the other. Are you mocking me? Sun Yuan fell silent for a moment, then said, all right, how much do you want? Sun Ergu also held up 2 fingers, not a penny more or less, 20,000. Give me 20,000, and I'll keep this secret for you and Liu Kai. 20,000. Sun Yuan jumped up, are you crazy? That's a ridiculous demand. Where am I supposed to get 20,000? Sun Ergu shrugged dismissively, I said, I'm keeping the secret for you and Liu Kai. You're not alone in this. If you don't have the money, you can ask Liu Kai for it. Sun Yuan snapped, you know Liu Kai's situation. How can he come up with that money? Sun Ergu suddenly exploded, damn it. Sister-in-law, you don't deserve this. Sun Yuan, it's a crisis, and you're still worried about Liu Kai? Have you forgotten it's you who cheated, and you're the one who put a green hat on my brother? You care about Liu Kai? Why don't you care about my brother? Have you no shame? When it comes to women, if they are doing well, they are a sister-in-law, if not, they are just a mistress. Sun Yuan's face turned pale and red, stammering, but we really can't come up with 20,000. Sun Ergu sneered, that's your problem, not mine. Honestly, my girlfriend and I are discussing marriage, and my future mother-in-law said the bride price is 20,000, no negotiation because she is getting a bride for my useless little brother-in-law. You have 3 days. I'm giving you 3 days to get me 20,000, and it must be in cash. Remember, you have only 3 days. If you don't come up with the money by then, don't blame me for being unkind. With that, Sun Ergu turned and walked away. Sun Yuan stood there, stunned for a while, quickly cleaned up the room, even sprayed air freshener, and then called Liu Kai, you bastard, you ran away fast enough. Get out here quickly. Something has gone wrong, a big problem. Let us talk in person. Sun Ergu went downstairs, got into his car, and drove at high speed, taking Li Yuan to a small restaurant on the outskirts of the city. They found a small private room, and after the dishes were served, Sun Ergu poured a drink, brother, cheers. Li Yuan smiled and drank the entire glass. Sun Ergu remained silent for a moment, then forced a strained smile, brother, how was my performance just now? Pretty good, right? Li Yuan nodded slightly, yes, you improvised very well. But from now on, you really have to play the role of the bad guy. Thank you for your hard work. Sun Ergu waved his hand, it's no big deal. I'm just angry. I want to make Sun Yuan and Liu Kai bleed. Brother, Sun Yuan has already cheated. We can't get rid of the person, but we must keep the money. You can't lose both your wife and money, right? Li Yuan lit a cigarette, I don't care. Once you get the money, keep it for yourself. I heard you need money too, right? Sun Ergu shook his head, brother, I need money, but I'm not greedy. But this money feels like a hot potato. I can't take it. Then, Sun Ergu poured another glass of wine and said quietly, years ago, I went to prison for a stupid ex-girlfriend. After I came out, she had already run off with someone else, and I became the biggest joke. My mom told me that the neighbors were laughing at me, both openly and secretly. Only you and your family never laughed at me. I remember clearly, Auntie even specially killed a chicken, cooked it, and sent it to my home for me to eat. I remember clearly, of the few of us who grew up together, no one wanted to associate with me. Only you, brother, were the one who called me out, took me to a restaurant, drank with me, and got me drunk like an idiot. As he spoke, Sun Ergu slowly raised his head, eyes reddened, brother, I may not be capable. I didn't study well in school and didn't even finish high school. Later, I went to prison, and I admit it was my own fault. But even if I lack education, at least I know the basic principles of being a person. Although we don't often hang out together, you helped me when I was at my lowest. Now, if I took your 20,000, would I still be human? Sun Ergu said sharply, everyone can think I'm trash, but even if I'm trash, I won't do something so disgraceful. Li Yuan's heart trembled. His wife had cruelly betrayed him, and his trusted friend Liu Kai had given him a green hat. Yet, it was Sun Ergu, this ex-convict, this person labeled as trash by countless neighbors, who was standing by him. This situation fit the saying, those who are righteous often suffer for their loyalty, while the unfaithful are usually well read. Li Yuan raised his glass, enough talking, let us drink. From now on, as long as I, Li Yuan, have a bite to eat, I will make sure you're not left hungry. While Li Yuan and Sun Ergu were hiding in the small restaurant drinking, Sun Yuan and Liu Kai, this pair of cheating lovers, had reunited. 20,000. Liu Kai was immediately furious, where the hell am I supposed to get 20,000? Sun Yuan, with patience, said, the problem is out, and we have to find a way to solve it. Besides, it's not just you who has to come up with 20,000. I can put up 10,000, you just need to come up with the remaining 10,000. Liu Kai retorted, it's easy for you to say. Even 2,000, I don't have it. Sun Yuan snapped, you have money for marriage but no money to clean up this mess. Liu Kai, do you think I'm easy to bully? Don't push me. Liu Kai, flushed with anger, said, you know I'm about to get married. The bride price is already paid. My family really has no money left. Let Sun Ergu make a fuss. Don't you dislike Li Yuan too? Just take this chance to divorce him. What's the big deal? Sun Yuan, furious, shouted, divorce. I still rely on Li Yuan to support me. If I divorce him, how could I still have the life I have now? If I divorce Li Yuan, will you support me? Can you even afford it? Liu Kai was about to respond. Sun Yuan interrupted. I'm telling you, Liu Kai, I will never divorce Li Yuan. If this matter gets completely out of hand and Li Yuan decides to divorce me, don't think you'll have it easy. You're about to get married, right? Do you believe I'll show up at the wedding and expose all our dirty secrets in front of all your relatives, friends, and your bride? Liu Kai's face turned red with rage. Sun Yuan, how dare you? Sun Yuan responded defiantly, I warned you not to push me. If you force me, you'll see if I dare. Liu Kai, you bastard. Sun Yuan, same to you? As the saying goes, husband and wife are like birds in the same forest. In times of danger, they fly apart. Even legitimate couples act this way, let alone just lovers. At this moment, this pair of cheating lovers was on the verge of turning against each other over the 20,000. Liu Kai said urgently, Li Yuan's salary is so high. How can he not come up with 20,000? Sun Yuan rubbed her forehead, he earns a lot, but I also spend a lot. I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. I don't even have 10,000 on hand, and I have to figure out how to borrow the rest from my parents. This is our problem. The remaining 10,000 should be your responsibility, morally and logically. Is there a problem? Liu Kai clenched his fists slightly, fine, I'll figure something out. If necessary, I'll also borrow from my parents. Even if I have to sell everything, I'll come up with it. Chapter 8. The night. In the evening, Liu Kai, feeling utterly dejected, returned to his parents' home. Liu's mother looked at Liu Kai and cheerfully said, Kai, you're getting married soon. How come you have time to come home? Liu Kai, with a serious demeanor, made up an excuse, oh, I just came to see you. Where's Dad? In the house. Liu's father was eating dinner. Liu Kai approached him with exaggerated politeness, Dad, let me have a drink with you. Liu's father shot him a cold glance and tersely replied, get lost. The message was clear, speak quickly or get lost. Liu Kai hesitantly asked, Dad, I wanted to ask if we still have any money left at home. Liu's mother grew anxious, son, your father and I have saved up for so many years to buy you a house, a car, and a bride. We've spent it all and even borrowed 150,000 from relatives to cover the bride price. Liu Kai stuttered, well, then, can you lend me another 100,000? I promise I'll pay it back. Get lost. Liu's father cut in coldly, how much money have you wasted over the years? When have you ever paid us back? I'm asking you house, car, bride price, gold jewelry, clothes all prepared for you. What do you need another 100,000 for? Liu's mother's expression changed slightly. Did the in-laws raise the bride price again? Liu Kai's eyes lit up, and he blurted out, yes, the bride price has gone up. Liu's mother exclaimed, it was already settled, and the money was given. How can they just raise the price now? Stop talking nonsense. Liu's father pointed at Liu Kai's nose, not telling the truth, huh? The bride price went up, did it? Should I call the in-laws right now and ask? Liu Kai panicked, no. Don't. What he feared most was the matter reaching his future mother-in-law's ears. If it got out, it would be disastrous. Liu's father said coldly, then tell me the truth. What do you need the 100,000 for? Liu Kai hesitated, well, actually, I owe someone 100,000 outside. Before he could finish. With a loud thud, Liu's father kicked Liu Kai to the ground, furious, I knew you were up to no good. Liu's mother, alarmed, said, why are you getting physical? Just talk it out, don't hit our son. Liu's father yelled at Liu's mother, get out of the way. It's all your fault for pampering him. He comes home only when he is short of money. When has he ever come home to visit us? After saying this, Liu's father grabbed a chair and hit Liu Kai with it, shouting, I raised you, and now I owe you something? If I had known you'd turn out like this, I should have just strangled you when you were a baby. Liu Kai curled up on the floor, covering his head, Dad. Stop hitting me. Please think of a way. They said if I don't pay them back soon, they'll cause a scene at my wedding. Liu's mother, in tears, pleaded, what should we do? If this gets out, the marriage will definitely be called off. If nothing else works, could you possibly borrow another 100,000 for our son? Liu's father walked out of the room, lit a cigarette, looked up at the moon, and said sorrowfully, borrow. Your words are easy, but actually borrowing is a different story. You're not asking me to borrow money, you're asking me to give you my flesh and blood. How did I end up with such a useless child? This is a curse. Unlike Liu Kai, Sun Yuan's approach to getting money was particularly cunning and unusual. She called her mother directly, Mom, is there any money left at home? I need it urgently. To be precise, Li Yuan wants to invest in a project, and we don't have enough money. Yes, Li Yuan plans to start his own business. Working for others is not as good as running his own business, right? Oh, it's not a huge amount. We're short about 50,000. Let me send you the account number. And Mom, don't mention this to Li Yuan. I don't want him to know I'm asking you for money. Everything was under control. After hanging up, Sun Yuan sighed with relief and then sent Li Yuan a WeChat message, honey, where are you? Why haven't you come home yet? I'm still waiting for the gift you promised me. At 11 o'clock at night. Li Yuan and Sun Ergu finally staggered out of the restaurant, both drunk. Bro, where are you going? Sun Ergu took out his car keys, how about we find a place to sing karaoke? I'll get you a couple of beauties to cheer you up. Li Yuan shook his head, no, it's too late. I need to seize this golden opportunity and go find He Wenchen to discuss the mysteries of life. Sun Ergu asked, huh? Li Yuan chuckled, don't you remember who He Wenchen is? She is Liu Kai's fiancée. Sun Ergu was taken aback. Sun Ergu and Li Yuan were childhood friends. They had drunk with Liu Kai and had met He Wenchen a few times during meals. However, most people don't remember the names of friends' wives unless there is a specific reason. At this moment, when Sun Ergu suddenly heard He Wenchen's name from Li Yuan, he initially didn't react. But now, with Li Yuan's hint. Wow! Sun Ergu's face lit up with excitement, bro, are you saying? Li Yuan nodded slightly, smiling, you've already made a move. Liu Kai must be busy gathering money everywhere now. His fiancée is definitely alone at home. Leaving the lady alone at home, that is unacceptable, right? I may not have many virtues, but I do like to help others. Sun Ergu grinned, is it that thrilling? Bro, you really know how to have fun. But aren't you worried about things going wrong? What if the truth comes out? Besides, He Wenchen won't just let you get away with it easily, right? Li Yuan's lips curled into a smile. That's why I plan to come clean with He Wenchen and tell her all about Liu Kai and Sun Yuan's dirty deeds. Sun Ergu pondered for a moment and then said seriously, bro, isn't this too risky? If He Wenchen and Liu Kai end up breaking up, it could severely impact your revenge plan. Li Yuan shrugged, smiling. It does carry some risk, but the greater the risk, the greater the reward. What we're doing now might only ruin their reputations, but if we want to completely destroy them, we need He Wenshin's cooperation from the inside. For the rest of their lives, I want them to be in constant torment and humiliation. Besides, Liu Kai put a green hat on me. It's only fair that I talk to his fiancée about life. Don't you think so? To be the champion, nothing feels better than being the champion. At this point, Li Yuan suddenly laughed maniacally. Ergu, to be honest, I really miss our childhood days. Back then, chrysanthemums were just flowers, 213 was just a pencil, instant noodles came with seasoning, a cup of tea was just used for brushing teeth, cucumbers and bananas were just food, the sun was tea cold day, pears weren't that big, and we still believed in true love. But now, I don't dare to believe in anything. Women, if they are doing well, they are sisters, if not, they are mistresses. Men, when leashed, are dogs, when let loose, are wolves. If I'm going to do something, I'll make sure to do it thoroughly. I want to give those two a moment's respite. Li Yuan looked up at the pale moonlight in the night sky, his face bearing a strange smile. When a severely depressed person decides to take the most extreme revenge, there is absolutely no room for turning back. Li Yuan and Sun Ergu bade farewell and left without looking back. Everything that happened before is like yesterday's death, everything that happens now is today's life. Never look back at the past. And from now on, never settle for less. Stay calm, untroubled by emotions, forget the past, and fear nothing about the future. Bring on the storm and make it even fiercer. Sun Yuan, I swear I will personally send you to the best psychiatric hospital. Just wait. Our game has begun. Guess who will win? Chapter 9. At 11 p.m. He Wenshin sliced a pile of cucumber, applied a face mask, and cast a new TV drama onto the screen via her phone. She lounged lazily on the sofa. Meanwhile, Li Yuan arrived at the door carrying a box of beer and knocked. He Wenshin got up, looked through the peephole, then opened the door with a puzzled expression, asking, "Brother-in-law, why are you here so late?" Indeed, He Wenshin wasn't he just Liu Kai's fiancée? She and Sun Yuan were university roommates and good friends. It was Sun Yuan who had strongly matched Liu Kai with He Wenshin. He Wenshin was half a year younger than Sun Yuan and usually called Li Yuan brother-in-law. They were very familiar with each other. Li Yuan had helped when He Wenshin moved house. If it were someone else, she wouldn't have opened the door at this hour. I wanted to talk to you, Li Yuan said with a smile. Don't misunderstand, it's really just to chat. He Wenshin blinked. Where's Yuan? Why didn't she come with you? You two didn't have a fight, did you? Come on in. Li Yuan brought the beer inside and changed into slippers. What are we drinking? He Wenshin asked with a smile. Brother-in-law, you're not really here to drink at my place, are you? It's so late, and if you get drunk here, it wouldn't be appropriate. Li Yuan chuckled. Actually, I'm afraid it won't be me drinking later but you. He Wenshin raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Is this beer for me? Li Yuan pulled out his phone, displayed a video, and handed it to He Wenshin. It's better if you watch it yourself. He Wenshin took a glance, her body tensing as she said with a thinly veiled anger, Brother-in-law, is this why you're here so late? To make me watch this? I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Li Yuan opened the beer box, opened 2 bottles, and said, don't rush, take your time, and watch carefully. Watching such a video late at night and carefully. He Wenshin was furious but, upon seeing the figures in the video, her anger turned to shock. What did she see? She saw her fiancé, Liu Kai, with Sun Yuan, being intimate. Tremble. He Wenshin's whole body started shaking uncontrollably. It's impossible. He Wenshin exclaimed, how could this be? It's absolutely impossible. Li Yuan pushed the beer towards her. Drink. He Wenshin took a sip of beer, but even the cold drink couldn't extinguish the fury inside her. Sun Yuan was her best friend, and Liu Kai was her fiancé. To think that these two were together? He Wenshin had initially thought that Li Yuan had come to complain about a fight with Sun Yuan, as she had mediated their disputes before. She never expected Li Yuan's visit to be for this purpose. When did this happen? He Wenshin turned off the phone and looked directly at Li Yuan. And if I'm not mistaken, this is at your house. Li Yuan paused for a moment. Yes, you're right. This is my house. The video is from yesterday's surveillance footage. He Wenchen exploded with rage. Liu Kai was about to marry her, and yet he was fooling around with Sun Yuan? What was even more unacceptable was that Liu Kai was introduced to her by Sun Yuan, who had been eager to matchmake them. And now? Sun Yuan not only cheated with Liu Kai but also introduced He Wenchen to him as a potential wife. This is what a good friend does. Pushing her into the fire pit. Those scumbags, bastards. He Wenchen picked up her phone, but Li Yuan snatched it away. What are you going to do? He Wenchen raged, I'm going to settle scores with those two scumbags. Li Yuan remained calm. And then? What can you do to them? Cheating isn't illegal, but if you resort to violence, that's against the law. He Wenchen cried, you can't just let them get away with it. Why should they be let off their hook? Wait a minute, why do you have the surveillance footage? At this moment, He Wenchen's eyes widened in shock. You knew they were together. Did you secretly install the surveillance? How could you tolerate this? Li Yuan countered, I didn't want to tolerate it, but what could I do? I told you, the law doesn't cover cheating. He Wenchen, even more agitated than Li Yuan, said, letting them off so easily is too lenient. Why should they get away with it? Li Yuan replied coolly, when did I say I would let them off? I have this footage to use for revenge. He Wenchen fell silent for a moment. How do you plan to take revenge? Li Yuan answered, I was planning to play this video at your wedding. He Wenchen's body trembled. If this video were played at the wedding, Liu Kai and Sun Yuan would be utterly disgraced, and He Wenchen, would inevitably become a laughingstock. Li Yuan took a sip of beer and said seriously, but I think that doing that would be unfair to you, who is completely unaware of this. I came tonight to ask if you want to join me in taking revenge on those two scumbags. He Wenchen fell into deep thought. The sudden turn of events left her mind in turmoil. But one thing was clear, she couldn't swallow this anger. She finished an entire bottle of beer and said through gritted teeth, tell me, brother-in-law, how do you want to get back at them? I'll cooperate fully. Li Yuan, clearly having a plan, said with a smile, first, from today on, we'll keep each other informed about Liu Kai and Sun Yuan's whereabouts. Second, since you're about to marry Liu Kai, ask for more in the bride price or gold and jewelry. Do whatever it takes to empty Liu Kai's family's assets. Third, on the wedding day, you'll personally play this video. Only this way can you minimize your own loss. At that time, everyone will understand that you knew all along about the affair, and you weren't kept in the dark. The reason you still wanted to marry him was to get revenge. Li Yuan stroked his chin and smiled. Of course, this will impact you too. You can think it over and let me know. He Wenchen snapped, no need to think. I agree. I treated Sun Yuan as a good sister, and she betrayed me badly. They act so righteous in front of me, but they must be very smug behind my back. I can't stand this. I must make Sun Yuan and Liu Kai disgrace themselves. At this point, He Wenchen paused briefly, then looked directly at Li Yuan. Brother-in-law, did you forget something? If we're going to get revenge, we should at least do something ourselves, right? Li Yuan? He Wenchen chuckled, if Liu Kai and Sun Yuan dared to do it, we should at least match their effort. They are together, so why shouldn't we? Li Yuan inhaled sharply, and said earnestly, I'm not that kind of person. He Wenchen squinted, you came here in the middle of the night, do you really have no feelings for me? Li Yuan said firmly, I'm not. I don't make wild guesses. He Wenchen smirked, deny it all you want, but you've already said no 3 times. Am I not attractive? Attractive? To be honest, He Wenchen was indeed quite beautiful. Her eyebrows were like ink, her lips red, her face delicate, and her figure, though clad in pajamas, was still stunning. Especially when considering she was Liu Kai's fiancée and Sun Yuan's best friend, those 2 layers of identity only made her more appealing. But even so, Li Yuan was still reluctant to admit anything. Miss, I'm not handsome, but that doesn't mean I'm open to just anyone. He Wenchen thought for a moment and suddenly smiled. I understand. You think I'm Liu Kai's fiancé, so you find me unclean? No, you're thinking too much. I can assure you that although I'm about to marry Liu Kai, he has never touched me. To be precise, it's not that he doesn't want to, but I don't allow it. Li Yuan's eyes brightened. Is that true? It can't be. He Wenshin sneered, what impossible? I never liked Liu Kai. But Sun Yuanyuan kept praising him in my ear, so I just went along with it. Coincidentally, I was of marriageable age, and Sun Yuanyuan's praise convinced me. But, I knew exactly what kind of person Liu Kai was. He said he would settle down, but I didn't believe him. So I made him agree to my terms, no touching before marriage, not even thinking about it. To show his sincerity, Liu Kai agreed. The only difference is that before, I naively thought Liu Kai really had feelings for me, so he agreed to such conditions. I didn't expect that he didn't touch me because he had Sun Yuanyuan as a substitute. They are treating me like a fool. The more I talk, the angrier I get. I need to get revenge. I will get back at those two scumbags. Brother-in-law, don't hold back. I don't believe you came here in the middle of the night and truly have no thoughts about me. At this point, He Wenshin began to move closer to Li Yuan rapidly. Li Yuan backed away step by step. What are you doing? Don't come any closer. Don't come closer. Come closer. Closer. Come. Chapter 10. 2 hours later. With a snap, Li Yuan lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled a thick plume of smoke. He Wenshin, looking languid, commented, everyone uses lighters now. Why are you still using matches? Li Yuan remained expressionless, not saying a word. Men who enter a period of reflection often behave this way. He Wenshin's lips curled slightly. Is it true that a cigarette after something like this feels better than anything else? I want to try. She then snatched the cigarette from Li Yuan's hand, took a deep drag, and immediately began coughing violently. Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. As she coughed, tears suddenly streamed down He Wenshin's face. I'm not inexperienced or naive, but I never imagined I'd ever be unfaithful. Brother-in-law, does this mean I've become a bad woman from now on? Li Yuan smiled wryly and asked, if you're a bad woman, what does that make me? He Wenshin, her face covered in tears, said softly, I didn't know Sun Yuanyuan before college. We were both from the same city, so we ended up in the same dormitory. For all these years, I can honestly say I've never done anything to wrong her. I don't understand why she would do this to me. What did I do wrong? He Wenshin's voice trembled. I always considered her my best friend, my sister. How could she do this? Li Yuan remained silent for a moment, his fist clenched slightly. You say you don't know what you did wrong. I also want to know what I did wrong. For years, whenever Liu Kai got into trouble, I was the one cleaning up his mess. You know how good I was to that bitch Sun Yuanyuan. And yet, they ended up together and humiliated me. You think you're a clown, but you don't know that I'm the real clown. He Wenshin gently embraced Li Yuan. Brother-in-law, it seems we're both in the same unfortunate situation. The two of them held each other lightly, like wounded young beasts, licking each other's wounds. Brother-in-law, I actually understand why you came to see me tonight, He Wenshin said softly. You want to get revenge on those two scumbags, and you need my help. To put it plainly, you're using me, aren't you? Li Yuan admitted, yes. Are you willing to be used by me? He Wenshin smiled lightly, why not? I've been betrayed by my fiancé and my best friend. You've been betrayed by your wife and best friend. They are our common enemies. There's no such thing as true empathy in this world. Others might try to understand, but only Li Yuan and He Wenshin can truly grasp the hatred and anger in each other's hearts. They are natural allies. Brother-in-law, have you ever thought about something? He Wenshin tilted her head and smiled. What if, after we make those two scumbags infamous at the wedding, we turn around and get married ourselves? Wouldn't that be the ultimate revenge? Li Yuan was momentarily stunned and seriously considered it. That does seem interesting. If Li Yuan and He Wenshin got married, it would be a true betrayal to Liu Kai and Sun Yuanyuan. Their expressions would be priceless. Let us think about it, Li Yuan said, rubbing his forehead. It's not that I look down on you. I just want to figure out how to maximize our revenge. He Wenshin winked at Li Yuan, so, to celebrate our cooperation, how about a drink? You've already bought the beer, haven't you? Li Yuan shook his head, no, it's late. I need to go home. He Wenshin looked at him in surprise, why go home now? It's the perfect time to stay here and get ready to confront those two scumbags. Li Yuan waved his hand and smiled. No, no, no. If it were just about confronting them or ruining their reputation, that would be too easy on them. I don't just want to ruin their reputation, I want to make their lives a living hell. Especially for that bitch Sun Yuan. I will make sure she experiences true despair. Given this, how can I not go home? I not only need to go home, but I also need to continue playing the role of the completely unsuspecting good husband. I want her to continue being smug. Li Yuan patted He Wenxin on the head, smiling. You need to act as if nothing happened, too. Only then, when the truth is revealed, will those two scumbags truly feel what real suffering is. An hour later, Li Yuan returned to his place. Honey. Sun Yuan greeted him with a surprised expression. You're finally back. I've been waiting for you all this time. The house was spotless, with no traces of anything out of the ordinary. Sun Yuan had already taken a shower. A woman fresh from a bath is typically most attractive, but Li Yuan felt no interest in Sun Yuan at all. It wasn't he just because Li Yuan had just come from He Wenxin. Fundamentally, Li Yuan found Sun Yuan repulsive. Darling, you've been working so hard lately. You must be exhausted. Come in and relax. As she spoke, she eagerly handed Li Yuan his slippers, behaving like a dutiful wife. Oh, how will she pretending? But she doesn't realize that Li Yuan already knows all about her dirty deeds. She thought she had pacified Sun Erguor, but she didn't know that Li Yuan was the one who had called the police on Sun Erguor from the beginning. Many people might not know. Women are skilled at makeup, but men excel at true disguise. When a man loves a woman deeply, he can be heartbroken. But when a man is completely done with a woman, he can also walk away with complete decisiveness. In his previous life, Li Yuan hid all his sadness for Sun Yuan, playing the role of the clown for 10 years. Though he was deeply depressed, he managed to make everyone laugh. And he did it for a whole decade. If it's about acting, Sun Yuan is nothing compared to him. And it wasn't he just Sun Yuan. Just like earlier, wasn't Li Yuan also acting in front of He Wenxin? If not, why would Li Yuan meticulously provoke He Wenxin, step by step, making her sad enough to push him down voluntarily? He never touched He Wenxin actively, he was passive in this. Active versus passive, there's a world of difference. If Li Yuan were the one pursuing her, He Wenxin would see him as someone trying to get close to her for revenge. But if He Wenxin were the one pursuing him, it would be on her terms, and she would see everything as her own choice. At this moment, facing Sun Yuan, Li Yuan pretended to be full of remorse. Honey, I'm sorry. I had a social event at work and came home late, making you wait for so long. As he spoke, Li Yuan took out a Dior lipstick from his pocket. Honey, this is a gift I bought for you. Do you like it? Sun Yuan took the lipstick, delighted. I love it. You're so good to me. Li Yuan's lips curled up. Just earlier, your best friend He Wenxin said the same thing. Moreover, you and Liu Kai are about to give me 200,000, and I spent 500 yuan on a lipstick for you. That's only a 400-fold difference, completely reasonable. Honey. Sun Yuan blinked at Li Yuan, her face full of shyness. Honey, we haven't been intimate in a while, have we? Li Yuan was too lazy to touch this bitch, but didn't directly refuse. Instead, he squinted and said, I've had too much to drink. How about this? I'll take a shower first, and then we'll see. With that, Li Yuan went straight to the bathroom. Sun Yuan thought she hadn't been caught, feeling that she had acted well. From Li Yuan's reaction, it seemed Sun Erguor hadn't told him about what happened earlier. Otherwise, how could Li Yuan have bought her a gift? This realization made Sun Yuan feel relieved, but she couldn't help feeling a bit smug. I've cuckolded you, and you still bought me a gift. Har har, men. However, as a seasoned seductress, Sun Yuan knew exactly how to manipulate men. At this moment, she took a photo of the lipstick, quickly edited a post, and hit publish. My husband worked late and even bought me a gift. He. Liu Kai, still awake, was the first to like and comment. Sister-in-law and Li Yuan are really affectionate. So envious. Sun Yuan replied, you're about to get married to Shinshin soon, right? He. Yes. These two scumbags are so blatant, and their conversation seems perfectly normal on the surface. They are just using this method to subtly irritate Li Yuan. At this moment, a WeChat message suddenly rang. It was from He Wenxin. Sun Yuan quickly answered the call. Oh, Shin, still awake at this hour? He Wenxin, lazily lying in bed, said with a serious tone, I was about to go to sleep, but some people's show off made me unable to. Whereas my brother-in-law. Sun Yuan replied with a smile, he is taking a shower. When Li Yuan walked out of the bathroom, He Wenxin was still on the line, teasingly saying, oh, brother-in-law, you and my sister are really affectionate. I wish my future husband could be like you. Li Yuan was helpless and knew clearly that He Wenxin was using this method to get back at Sun Yuan and Liu Kai. After all, Li Yuan had just come from He Wenxin's place, and the current situation is that both Li Yuan and He Wenxin know about the scandal between Sun Yuan and Liu Kai. However, these two scumbags have no idea that Li Yuan and He Wenxin are aware of all the secrets and have joined forces. Yuan. He Wenxin's performance continued, my brother-in-law bought you lipstick. What are you going to reward him with tonight? Sun Yuan laughed and scolded, I didn't expect even you to learn how to drive. Don't worry, I'll make sure my brother-in-law isn't treated unfairly. I'll definitely give him a good reward. He Wenxin couldn't help but laugh, thinking to herself, you really are overestimating things. Li Yuan has been struggling here with me for 2 hours. He is so exhausted, he won't be up for any rewards. Li Yuan's mouth twitched slightly, and he interrupted, I do want a reward, but the supervisor just informed me that there is another bug. You all chat, I'll be busy for now. With that, he left without waiting for Sun Yuan to speak, heading straight to the study and locking the door behind him. Har. He Wenxin laughed so hard she was shaking, teasing, my brother-in-law actually ran away. Yuan, your charm isn't working anymore. Sun Yuan gritted her teeth and said, he can't escape. In the study. As soon as Li Yuan sat down, he received a text message from He Wenxin, brother-in-law, how does it feel? Li Yuan typed back, you're quite the clever one. He Wenxin replied, Sun Yuan probably can't even imagine that I would use this method to irritate her. It's thrilling. Also, brother-in-law, you bought that bitch lipstick, so I want one too. You can't be unfair. Li Yuan thought for a moment and replied, sure, I'll get you a bag later. He Wenxin, you're the best, brother-in-law. In the living room, Sun Yuan was still chatting with He Wenxin, her voice occasionally drifted. After eating, Li Yuan went to the entrance of the neighborhood to wait for the bus, and as usual, he sent Sun Yuan a WeChat message, dear, I'm heading to work now. Sun Yuan replied quickly, hubby, you've worked hard, keep it up. Love you. Li Yuan also replied, the company has been busy lately, and I've been neglecting you. Once I'm done with this busy period, I'll definitely spend more time with you. Sun Yuan, okay. More. After sending the message, the bus arrived just in time. Li Yuan got on, scanned his bus card, and asked, driver, do you have a plastic bag? Give me one. Receiving the bag, Li Yuan sat in the empty back row of the bus, opened the plastic bag, and began to vomit violently. The bus driver raised an eyebrow and said loudly, young man, are you all right? Do you need to go to the hospital? The bus driver urgently sent the passenger to the hospital and received a banner and a 200 yuan bonus. TSK, how delightful. Unfortunately, Li Yuan calmly said, I'm fine, just feeling a bit nauseous. I'll be alright soon. At the company, as soon as Li Yuan sat down, his supervisor, Tang Yud, arrived as scheduled. Why are you late again? Tang Yud said with a stern face. Li Yuan, looking calm and collected, replied, old Tang, why bother? You know very well that me sitting here is already showing you a lot of respect. Tang Yud rolled his eyes, should I thank you then? Today, don't leave early again. The client reported that there are still some minor issues with the software beta test. Upgrade and optimize it again. Tighten up, they are pushing hard. It's like they are hounding us. Li Yuan handed a coffee cup to Tang Yud, make it strong, no sugar, thanks. Tang Yud looked flustered, you want me to make you coffee? Have you gotten too bold? Li Yuan rested his hands on the keyboard, I'm here to work, aren't I? Or do you want to do it? Tang Yud, fuming, said, alright, you're ruthless. Just wait. With that, Tang Yud actually went to the pantry to make Li Yuan coffee. The other colleagues in the office were amused. In fact, Tang Yud wasn't really a bad person. Li Yuan was hired by Tang Yud, and he had always taken good care of him. Li Yuan had also brought a lot of credit to Tang Yud, becoming a key player in the company's tech department and now holding an even more important role. Everyone knew that Tang Yud genuinely cared for Li Yuan. If not, Tang Yud wouldn't have been so quick to transfer money when Li Yuan needed an advance on his salary. Tang Yud might be harsh with his words, but he often helped out when someone was in trouble. His biggest flaw was his incessant talking, like Tang Seng from Journey to the West, constantly nagging. Li Yuan's back and forth with Tang Yud was one of the few sources of amusement in the office. For Li Yuan, the reason he still came to work was twofold: to maintain the illusion of normalcy and to deceive Sun Yuan, and also because he knew his revenge had just begun. His depression was worsening, and he needed a way to manage his emotions. Taking on Tang Yud was a way to release some of his pent-up feelings. At lunch, Li Yuan went to Tang Yud's small office, lay down on the sofa, and was about to take a nap when he suddenly received a WeChat message from Sun Erguer. "Brother, Sun Yuan, that bitch has arranged to meet me. I guess she has collected the money." Li Yuan had suspected from Sun Yuan's attitude the night before that she must have gathered the money, or she wouldn't have been so calm. After thinking for a moment, Li Yuan quickly replied, "I'm at the company. You handle it. Keep the money for now, I'll come by after work to pick it up." Then, Li Yuan swiftly switched WeChat contacts and sent a message to He Wenshin. "Sun Yuan, didn't he go to the office today, right?" He Wenshin: "No, she didn't come. She must have gone to find that bastard Liu Kai." Li Yuan: "That's fine. Let those two dogs enjoy themselves. We can start taking action tonight." Having made these arrangements, Li Yuan pondered with his head bowed and his brow furrowed for a long time. It seemed he was quite hesitant, but in the end, he stood up and walked out. Tang Yud sharply called out, "Li Yuan, where are you going again?" Li Yuan replied without looking back, "The software has been optimized and upgraded. My work is done. Now, I have some personal matters to attend to." He Wenshin had genuinely considered Sun Yuan as a good friend. After graduation, they both chose to return to the city and ended up working at the same company. This was also one of the reasons why Li Yuan wanted to collaborate with He Wenshin. Having her around allowed him to roughly keep track of Sun Yuan's movements. An hour later, Liu Kai, that bastard, first drove his Zoti to pick up Sun Yuan, took her to the bank to withdraw 200,000 yuan in cash, and then arrived at Sun Erguer's phone shop. "Are you sure that Sun Erguer will keep the secret after receiving the money?" Liu Kai stared at the phone shop, gritting his teeth. "Last night my dad begged everywhere to get me another 100,000 yuan. What if Sun Erguer gets greedy and continues to use this incident to threaten us? If I have to go back home to get more money, my dad will definitely flay me alive." Sun Yuan sneered, "I considered that too. Sun Erguer is greedy, and I can indulge him this time. But if he thinks he can keep threatening me like this, he's really overestimating himself. Don't worry, I've already figured out how to deal with him." Liu Kai frowned. "You have a plan? What can you do?" At this point, Liu Kai suddenly stiffened, as if he had thought of something you're not thinking of. "No way, that would be too lenient for that bastard." Sun Yuan sighed, "I don't want to either, but it's come to this. If we don't do it this way, do you have any other options?" Liu Kai's face turned ashen. "Fine, go ahead. I'm leaving." "You can't leave," Sun Yuan said with hatred. "If you leave, who will be my witness? Not only can't you leave, but you also have to stay here and record it with your phone." With that, Sun Yuan pushed open the door and got out of the car, heading straight for Erguer's phone shop. Liu Kai, with a gloomy face, cursed, "Damn it, you two are doing some shady stuff in the phone shop, and I have to keep watch. What the hell?" Despite his complaints, Liu Kai took out his phone, opened the camera, and started recording. After all, while cursing, Liu Kai was very aware that Sun Yuan was right. If they didn't completely resolve the issue with Sun Erguer, both he and Sun Yuan would be tormented by him for a long time to come. Continuing like this, something would eventually go wrong. Short-term pain is better than long-term suffering. They had no choice but to drag Sun Erguer down. It was a necessary evil. Inside the phone shop, Sun Erguer was on a video call with his girlfriend, Ju Qian. Honey, can't the bride price be any less? You know I just put down a deposit on a house, and the rent for my shop is about to expire. I need to renew the lease. I really don't have that much money. Can you give me a break? Zhu Qian retorted, so I understand that you have money to buy a house and renew the lease but don't have money to marry me, right? Sun Erguer said anxiously, no, that's not what I meant. I just. Before he could finish, Zhu Qian interrupted, my mom said, marry a man who can provide for you, and if you still don't have money, why should we marry? The bride price is 200,000 yuan, not a penny less. That's my mom's exact words. Sun Erguer said sternly, so you mean I should use the lease renewal money to marry you? What are we going to eat if we lose this shop? Starve? Besides, I have to pay over 9,000 yuan a month for the mortgage, and the rent for the shop is over 3,000 yuan a month. Do you even know how much pressure I'm under? Can't you understand me a little? Zhu Qian sneered, pressure is a matter of your ability, it has nothing to do with me. Sun Erguer, you know you've been to jail before, and my mom never approved of us. The bride price is 200,000 yuan, and there is no room for negotiation. You deal with it. With that, Zhu Qian hung up. Sun Erguer's face turned ashen. At this moment, Sun Yuan pushed open the door and entered. Sun Erguer put down his phone, took a deep breath, looked at Sun Yuan, and smiled, oh, sis-in-law, you came quite quickly, huh? Sun Yuan placed the bag of cash on the counter. Here's the cash you wanted. Sun Erguer nodded and squinted, but isn't there still a shortage of 50,000? Sun Yuan closed the glass door and winked at Sun Erguer. Erguer, don't you think your sis-in-law is pretty? Even if not, she should be prettier than your current girlfriend, right? Pretty? High heels, a short skirt, a short sleeve, and a curvaceous figure, indeed quite beautiful. Sun Erguer, wary, asked, what do you mean? Sun Yuan walked around the counter, approached Sun Erguer, and gently touched his shoulder with a finger, smiling softly, stop pretending. Even though you're always smiling, I just heard that you've been to jail and have trouble finding a girlfriend, so you're very precious about your current girlfriend. Unfortunately, true love can't be bought with sincerity. Your girlfriend, especially your mother-in-law, looks down on you, doesn't she? You're frustrated, but you have to endure it because you have no choice. You're afraid that if even she looks down on you, where else can you find a wife? Now, the opportunity has come. That 50,000 yuan, I can't possibly come up with it. As long as you agree, from today on, sis-in-law will be yours. This deal is very fair, isn't it? Chapter 12. Sun Erguer was completely stunned. To be honest, he had already suspected that Sun Yuan would create trouble, and he was almost certain she would quickly hand over the money. However, he never imagined that Sun Yuan would come up with such a scheme. What was most shocking was that even Sun Erguer had to admit that what Sun Yuan said was true. His girlfriend, Zhu Qian, might act high and mighty, but in reality, she was at best an unattractive and short woman who lived in a world of filters on social media. In the world of Douyin, she looked meticulously refined and even gained a lot of followers, but in reality, especially after removing her makeup, she sometimes made Sun Erguer feel like his girlfriend had been replaced. But what could he do? Sun Erguer had been to prison. There were always some naive people who thought they were impressive in the outside world, but only after truly growing up would they understand how severe the consequences of being imprisoned were. Let's not even talk about it. Once you have a criminal record, you can forget about ever working in a public position, and it even affects everyone in your family for 3 generations. This was the main reason Sun Erguer had to keep his tail between his legs and was easily manipulated by his mother-in-law and Zhu Qian. To be fair, although Sun Yuan was a promiscuous person, she was much more beautiful than Sun Erguer's girlfriend. In terms of looks, figure, and temperament, Sun Yuan was an absolute superior. To say he wasn't tempted would be a lie. Erguer, Sun Yuan coaxed, I heard from Li Yuan that after you came out of prison, you've turned over a new leaf and worked very hard these past years. Unfortunately, your girlfriend and your mother-in-law don't care about your efforts, they only use your prison record to squeeze you for more money and to put you down. I don't believe you're not angry. Also, I admit that my affair with Liu Kai was wrong, but even Liu Kai, who is just a lowlife with no ambition, can have a woman like me, while you can only settle for a short and unattractive woman and still have to endure it. Isn't that frustrating? Sun Yuan stared at Sun Erguer seriously and said, sister-in-law is not an easy person. It was because Li Yuan was always busy with work and ignoring me that Liu Kai took advantage of the situation. Now, as long as you agree, sister-in-law will be yours in the future. Aren't you better than Liu Kai? You get both sister-in-law's money and her, which is a win-win. And Li Yuan won't find out about this. Isn't it worth it? Sun Erguor was silent for a long time before coldly laughing and saying, Sister-in-law, you think a casual promise like that can make me forgive the 50,000? No way. There's no such deal in this world. Even if I go to the most expensive club, it won't cost that much. Sun Yuan's face stiffened slightly, and she said coldly, You actually compare me to women in clubs. Can they be compared to me? Sun Erguor sneered, Sister-in-law, spare me. So what if it's a club? At least they charge a fair price and don't deceive people. Unlike some women who are hypocritical and deceitful. They are not even worth comparing. There's some women he referred to was obviously Sun Yuan. Sun Yuan's expression darkened visibly.